no accident. This was a therapeutic chain of events.
Breaking my back just to know your name. 17 tracks and I've had it with this game. I'm breaking my back just to know your name. But heaven ain't close in a place like this. Anything goes, but don't blink, you might miss. 'Cause heaven ain't close in a place like this. I said heaven ain't close in a place like this. Bring it back down tonight. Never thought I'd let a rumor ruin my moonlight. Well, somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. It's not confidential, I've got potential. Ready, let's roll on to something new. Taking its toll that I'm leaving without you. 'Cause heaven ain't close in a place like this. I said heaven ain't close in a place like this. Bring it back down tonight. Never thought I'd let a rumor ruin my moonlight. Well, somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. It's not confidential, I've got potential. Rushing around. Place yourself for me. I said maybe, baby, please. But I just don't know now. When all I wanna do is try. But somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. It's not confidential, I've got potential. Rushing around. Now somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. It's not confidential, I've got potential. Rushing around. Somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. It's not confidential, I've got potential. Rushing around.
Father, we fled your house of gray. We ran from home to seek a place where our bodies would never grow. Dreamer shall be cautious of this world. She has an appetite for boys and girls, and she's hungry for your soul. Little boys with dreams and paper planes were never meant to escape the sky. Only birds and lights shows the light. Little boys with dreams and paper planes were never meant to escape the sky. Give them your wings, always keep them by your side. You never before your friends, you fall.
All right, everyone, welcome to tonight's production. This is an IvD tournament between RootFitzy here and Team Viewer Discretion SC. Joining me tonight is going to be IvD Yogi Time's own HK Rob. Josiah, are you ready for tonight's main event? Josiah, are you with me?
Can everyone hear
There we
me?
go. Sorry about that.
All right. I apologize about that little bit of a technical difficulty right there at the start, but it's not a big deal as we are moving into one of the coolest series that I think we could have ever come up with here, actually.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an excellent opportunity for up-and-coming Team Viewer Discretion to go against one of the great teams, at least here in North America, if not in the entire world, and one of their star players here, RootFitzy here, definitely one of the more entertaining players on the roster.
Definitely, but despite the fact that we do have a lot of fandom here for Fitzy, the folks at Viewer Discretion have been working very hard for this show match. They have been trying their best to get as much training in as they can, and I don't think it's going to be really as close as a lot of people are thinking it is.
Yeah, like you said, VD has been training a lot for this. All of their players, strong Masters players, up-and-comers themselves. Fitzy has shown us time and time again, though, that he is able to compete with some of the absolute best in the world, and we'll see if he's able to take it against all four players that he will be playing against tonight, or maybe there's even a possibility that there could be a little bit of an upset here, and one player here from VD could take it all the way.
It is possible. I guess really it's kind of funny, and I know we had I joked about this with a few people before, but if you really think about the actual definition of an all kill, if Fitzy wins this at all, he all kills regardless. If anybody beats Fitzy even once, they all kill, which is actually kind of funny when you think about it. I just found that a little interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of pressure here on our up-and-comers, but definitely going to be a lot of pressure on Fitzy as well. He wants to walk away with the prize here tonight. He wants to be able to take this clan down all single-handedly, and I think that we're about to get ready with this game as we have both of our players in the lobby. Going to be starting it out tonight with a ZVZ.
A ZVZ between Fitzy and IMakeVikings. It's a very interesting name for a Zerg, but
Yep, interesting name indeed. We'll see if any fusion cores come out from our Zerg player, see if we get any battle cruisers, but the countdown has begun, and we are going into the game. Starting it off here, we do have the ZVZ like we mentioned. Let's get into it here on Cloud Kingdom.
all right.
In the bottom left-hand corner, the Blue Zerg playing for Root Gaming, announcing a brand new sponsorship here today. Definitely the favorite coming into this matchup. He can take on one, but can he take on four? Playing for Root Gaming, he is Fitzy here. And his opponent in the top right-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom, the Yellow Zerg, starting it off here for Team Viewer Discretion. He's not going to make any Vikings in this matchup because he's a Zerg, but he is IMakeVikings.
I really think this is a very interesting matchup. I know a lot of people don't like this matchup, particularly to play this matchup, but I really think this is a very interesting matchup. Personally, I feel like ZVZ is one of the more interesting matchups in the game, aside from TVT, which is actually another very interesting matchup, because when you really look at ZVZ and what ZVZ is, I mean, there's so much you can do, but it all seems like something, oh yeah, you should be able to do something against this, but it's not quite that simple.
Definitely. When you're working with the same available units, the same available structures and tech paths as your opponent, of course, it should be a close match. But such small mistakes in this matchup can make huge differences. They call it the most volatile matchup in StarCraft for a reason. One slip up in this early game, one Baneling connection onto a group of Zerglings early, and your game can end right then and right there. So this is really going to come down to control, this is going to come down to decision making, and it's really going to show us who the better player is as both these players open up simultaneously with 15 pools.
Yes, and this is probably going to be followed up with an expansion here. It looks like Fitzy going for it a little bit earlier than IMakeVikings, but they're both going to... Oh, wait, no. IMakeVikings tricked me there because he did drop down his hatchery here a little bit sooner. So it's a little bit of deviation as far as the timings go. Not too much to make a big deal, but just a little interesting thing.
Definitely, right there we did have very similar options coming out. We did have Fitzy actually making one additional drone, and we do now see our yellow Zerg taking that early gas. So the earlier gas in his opponent is going to enable him to get out that speed early, which is one of the crucial timings that we do see coming out of these players, and getting that speed out early is going to allow you the option to really put pressure on your opponent. Having that speed timing above your opponent is going to enable you to get into their base, outmaneuver their units, force units to be made when they want to make drones, and above all, it's going to afford you that map control that you're really looking for. Knowing what's coming at you without having to have overlords in position and being able to stall so that you're able to get your own economy up behind it is really what that speed is all about. So that's what we're going to see IMakeVikings look for when he does go ahead and start that speed with his first 100 gas just here in a second.
Yes, and that speed is actually extremely important, even going into the mid to late game, when you can delay things like thirds. You can keep your opponent from even pushing out from his own base, and that will allow you to just macro up, grab as many expansions as you feel like you need, and then continue into a stronger push later on.
Certainly can, and we do see a little bit of a drone lead coming out of IMakeVikings right now. Instead, Fitzy going ahead and dropping an early Spinecrawler, wants to be defensive, knowing that objectively he is most likely the better player in this matchup, so he doesn't want to die to any kind of early cheese, any kind of super early speedling, baneling aggression. He's going to drop that Spinecrawler, which placed in this exact position here next to the ramp, combined with two queens, is going to be very effective at getting the job done, defending against nearly countless lings.
Oh, and it looks like two lings are going to slip past... Well, actually, two groups of lings are going to slip past each other here. This is going to give Fitzy a perfect read of everything. He does see the baneling nest. He does see the drones, the drone count that IMakeViking has going on in the main base. And so far, if we look at the other end of things, I don't think IMakeVikings was able to see much of anything beyond the natural.
Yeah, he got into the natural, though, and that is where Fitzy's Spinecrawler and where his baneling nest was. So he's able to see that, and more importantly, he was able to see the high Zergling count. There were 12 lings standing right there for our blue Zerg playing for Root. So with those lings there, he knows that the possibility for an attack really isn't likely to get any damage done there, and instead our yellows are going to opt to try to bolster his own economy, and both players right now sitting on 34 drones, although triple gas is coming up for IMakeVikings in addition to that lair tech, so we could be seeing a quick transition out of the early game now and a very early mid game.
Yes, we could, but it looks like there's going to be a little bit of pressure making its way across the map here for Fitzy. Maybe he's hoping to do some damage, get another scout here, as lings are going to scout this out for IMakeViking, and it looks like he's going to try and take out these banelings.
Yeah, IMakeVikings trading one Zergling for one Baneling there. A great trade. Fitzy on the other side of the map trying to put on a little bit of pressure with additional Speedlings. But as these Zerglings do trade out with Banelings, IMakeVikings getting into a stronger and stronger position with his early tech.
I'm not quite sure what Fitzy is planning on doing here. He does have his Baneling sitting here in the middle of the map. Just as I said that, he starts to pull him in. But I really think IMakeVikings has plenty to deal with this right now.
Yep, Spinecrawler well placed with that Evolution Chamber, making part of a wall. We are going to see some Baneling pressure here as a couple Banelings explode, trading 3 Banelings for 6. Fitzy definitely getting the better end of that bargain, but the yellow Zerglings now outnumber their opponents about 4-1, so they're going to try to start chasing them down. And behind this, though, Fitzy has already taken his third.
Yes, Fitzy has taken his third, but the question is can he defend this? There are quite a few Lings here in the base, and it looks like IMakeVikings is going to try and follow this up with some Roach play.
Yeah, Roach Warren already finished along with that lair is going to afford him that glial reconstitution, Roach speed, and the Zergling pressure at the third has been driven back for the time being, allowing Fitzy to go ahead and reestablish his economy. Right now, the drone count is 48 to 40 with IMakeVikings playing for Team VD in the lead there. So, and with that incredible last tech that he have, the infestation pit can be coming down as well for both players. It actually looks like IMakeVikings is in a pretty comfortable position right now, as long as he's able to defend this third adequately and make sure that he can continue to pressure his opponent's economy.
Both players scouting each other out here with changelings and overseers, getting perfect reads on each other, actually.
Yeah, one Baneling going to be able to chase off all of the Zergling forces right now for Fitzy. Neither player really investing too heavily into Roaches. There are 5 Roaches on the defensive right now for our VD player, while just 3 are in production here for Fitzy right now. The drone count evening out with a slight lead for our Root player, but the infestation tech for both players has completed, and the pathogen glands are going to be started now.
And those pathogen glands are extremely important, as it does look like speed is going to be finishing up here for Fitzy. I know IMakeVikings is already, I'm pretty sure he's already finished his speed. He already has that upgrade out, so he's a little bit late there on that for Fitzy, and he's a little bit behind on upgrades, but you never know, that could be turned around at any moment with the infestors that he is going to be able to pull out from this infestation pit with the glands on them. He's going to be able to maybe apply pressure, and he might be able to do something. In fact, he doesn't even have to apply pressure. He's a little bit ahead in economy.
Yeah, right now IMakeVikings doing an excellent job of defending his position. He's really established a great economy. He's not over-investing into that economy, and he's able to hold off all the counter-aggression here from his opponent. We saw that Fitzy tried to poke up into that third right there with a little bit of Zergling aggression, and instead he took a big Baneling right to the face, lost a handful of Zerglings there in the process, and our yellow Zerg was able to retain that tech and economy lead and safely keep on making infestors. And with the Roach count right now, 25 to 19 definitely in our yellow Zerg's favor, but the infestors are definitely the great equalizers. 4 to 3, very equal at this point, but with infestors right out on the map right now, Fitzy's looking for a little bit of a flank, but if he gets those infestors sniped, that could be a very bad position for him indeed. But the a couple of fungals going to be wasted there on some Roaches. Those are indeed going to be cleaned up as both these players look to try to take an engagement. About a 20 supply lead now for the viewer discretion Zerg.
And that lead is absolutely huge, because I know we mentioned at the beginning of the game here, you do have the same units, you do have everything is pretty much the same between these players, so any lead that you gain is even more significant than in any other matchup in this particular matchup.
Yeah, supply definitely very important. Now with that 4th base going down and the +2 upgrade for his ranged units right now, this is definitely going to be a pretty strong timing for IMakeVikings if he chooses to use it. However, right now Fitzy is actually transitioning into Hydralisks. I'm not sure if he does have that upgrade yet. Can't seem to find the Hydra Den. There it is. So yeah, he does not have the Grooved Spines upgrade just yet, so those aren't going to be super effective at this point, but he does have a decent amount of Roaches to tank for those Hydralisks. Once they do come out, they're going to provide a ton of support for his other units, while our yellow Zerg has continued to build into that infestors, and right now he's sitting at 5 and continuing to get his eco up.
There is definitely a lot of great stuff going on here, but I believe, yes, there was a contaminate that did go down here on IMakeVikings natural, and that's going to cause a big, that's going to be pretty tough here for him, seeing as he was not able to inject that entire time. So that is going to kind of cut down IMakeVikings' ability to pump out more units. He does not have Hydras out on the field. He is just sticking with Roach and Infester, and I really feel like once there are enough Hydras out on the field, and it looks like Fitzy might even have that number now, but once those are out there, Fitzy could look a little bit stronger and a little bit more menacing than IMakeViking.
Yeah, definitely had that supply lead for most of the game, but that's not necessarily as important getting here into super late game ZVZ. What's important is getting a good engagement, and there are some Banelings actually going to be walking into the natural over here of our IMakeVikings player, where there are some Banelings as well at the third base down here of RootFitzy, looking to do a little bit of a counterattack, but there's also an engagement going on over here at the fourth, as Fungals did go down, but IMakeVikings grabbing the better end of both of these engagements right now. Fitzy actually not scoring any damage with either of these attacks, and IMakeVikings is actually pulled into a pretty favorable position at this point, only losing some roaches and maybe a couple of Fungals there to really make sure that his opponent stays on 3 base and he didn't lose any crucial economy or tech of his own.
And it looks like another engagement's going to go down. That is an absolutely great fungal that is gone down here. We have Hive on the way for IMakeViking, but it looks like this engagement is going to be pulled back instantly. You know, he's going to have to pull this stuff back. He wasn't able to get in there to do any damage to the third, and Fitzy's looking very strong here. Of course, the tech advantage is in favor of IMakeViking.
Yep, IMakeVikings with that Spire and the Hive coming out, definitely going to be looking for a Broodlord transition, and I definitely could agree with that at this point. On a map like Cloud Kingdom, where all of these engagements are going to be dictated by the choke points, it's very, very hard to attack into your opponent. We saw it there as IMakeVikings tried to attack into RootFitzy's third there. He just got fungled down. Trading energy for roaches, not exactly what you want to happen, but it is so hard to attack into those ramps. I definitely like his choice right now to go for that Greater Spire tech.
There is a little bit of dancing going on here between the armies. Fitzy not quite sure if he wants to go in this direction, and it looks like IMakeVikings not quite sure if he wants to go for it either, but Fitzy does drop down that fourth, and he is in a really good position if any pressure comes out of IMakeVikings to delay or just completely stop this.
Both players right now just trying to send small groups of roaches around the map, see if they can find any weaknesses in their opponent's defenses, and try to score a little bit of economic damage. Maybe snipe an infester here or there, something along those lines. We see small groups of roaches, 4 or 5 roaches making their way around the map, but both players playing this dance out beautifully, making sure that they're well defended, all the while just trying to keep their macro up. And it's important to note that IMakeVikings right now does have the superior economy still. He's been on this 4th base economy for much longer, but it's looking like there's going to be an engagement over here at the 4th base for Fitzy here. We do have the Zerg army for our yellow player in position to defend this. There's a run by over here at the 3rd of our IMakeVikings player as well, but well defended by a couple of roaches and a spine crawler, and a huge amount of infested terror coming out for RootFitzy's here right now, as all the energy on these infestors has been used almost completely. Behind this, there is a Greater Spire being made, so there's going to be a Broodlord transition, but will it even be needed? Fitzy here right now taking a ton of losses, although he could be getting the better end of the engagement, but he simply does not have the reproduction capabilities that his opponent does, although a lot of these forces are going to be wiped out. These very slow Hydra is going to be picked off by the speedier roaches as they do try to retreat. The supply advantage now shifting back toward Fitzy here, as the bank is there for IMakeVikings, but his production simply not there right now. He's been missing a few of these injects. He does not have enough macro hatches right now to try to get this reproduction on, and there's going to be a counterattack over here at the 4th as infested Terrans are lobbed down onto this hatchery, hoping to score a little bit of damage during this resupply phase.
Yes, and we have a lot of units that are being streamed across the map here for Fitzy. A lot of roaches are now coming back into the fight. Fitzy just about remaxed already, as he has sniped out quite a few infestors in this engagement.
Yeah, right now we do have roaches actually coming in and trying to engage with Fitzy's army. The infestors on the high ground were trying to make a hold at that choke right there, making use of the fungals, but as infestors walk into Hydralisk and roaches here, a lot of infestors are lost that did not need to be, and Fitzy once again getting the better engagement here. He does have the weaker economy, so he needs to be more efficient with his units, which is what he's doing. So this is actually getting Fitzy back into this game a little bit, but at the same time, we do have that Greater Spire finished. Will we be able to see those Broodlords start coming out? Fitzy going to make his way back over to the 4th once again, but IMakeVikings already in position with a few spine crawlers and with roaches and hydras to deflect this tank very astutely, and he's now looking like he's going to be able to stabilize for the time being. If we take a look at the infestor count, it is 5 versus 9 in Fitzy's favor here, as he does drop some Infested Terrans to try to protect his army with those very effective units, the Infested Terrans.
Oh yes, and looks like we have a 5th that's going down for IMakeViking, as he is going to keep a 1 base ahead of his opponent here.
Yeah, making sure to keep those bases coming. That's very, very important in this game. He's going to be mining out of his natural right now. The main already mined out. He does not want to go down to a 2-base economy while he's trying to switch into that Broodlord composition. Roaches once again making their way across the map, making sure that there is absolutely no way that Fitzy's going to be able to get additional bases right now. Even burrowing a Roach at the 5th base down here at the bottom right-hand corner, going to require an Overseer to get over there to deal with that. And that's really just going to be annoying for Fitzy. But Fitzy has an absolutely absurd amount of Hydralisks right now. 32 Hydralisks and 20 Roaches. If we take a look at the army supply, 130 to 130. Neither of these players going super high on their eco right now. The drone count's only in the 60s. Very great for the late game ZVZ. And with the high infestor count here at 9, the army for Fitzy is about as good as it's going to get on the ground. But are we going to see these Broodlords coming out? The Corruptor's already going to be coming out right now, as Zerg Flyer attacks are on the way as well. So we definitely could be looking for an air-based composition from IMakeVikings.
We definitely could be. I really think that Broodlords are on the way, but it looks like Fitzy is going to go for air of his own with his own Spire, and he's going to run around the map trying to snipe out what he can and free up these bases so that he can get back up into this game and say, you know what, I'm going to have air units if you are.
Yep, the Spire coming down, but it's going to be much later. We already do see 6 Broodlords coming out right now, as both of these players are sacrificing their very supply intensive and inefficient Roaches to try to get those Broodlords up. Now it's going to become a positioning game once again. These are very slow units, the Broodlords. It's going to be about outmaneuvering your opponents, about splitting your army and being very multitasking intensive, sending out a 10 Roach hit squad to try to hit your opponent's base while you engage with Infestors and Corruptors and Broodlords at a different location. We once again see some more supply being freed up here, but behind this, Fitzy has gone ahead and made even more Infestors, knowing that these are the late game units of choice. Infestors actually hitting the 5th right now with a little bit of an Infestor hit squad. Are they going to go ahead and use their Fungals, or are they going to use their Infestors? Like to see Infested Terrans go down here and get the very quick snipe on this hatchery. He's got to do it before this Spore Crawler does come out. Spore Crawler might be able to see these Infestors right now. If we take a look at the vision, not actually going to be able to see them. As the Infested Terrans do come down, that hatchery is going to die for sure. It looks like 3 of the Infestors going to be able to make it out of there alive, and Fitzy's Greater Spire is being started behind this, as well as the 5th down here in the bottom right hand corner, as this hatchery takes a ton of fire from these +3 Infested Terrans. That base is going to go down.
Meanwhile, there is an engagement here at the middle of the map. Fitzy gaining the upper hand here in that engagement. Great fungal going down there on the Infestors in the low ground, as Infested Terran are going to be thrown up here, but the Broodlords are a big problem here for these Hydras, as they're just going to get torn apart.
Yeah,
and Fitzy can't really move in.
IMakeVikings with a pretty bad supply deficit at this point. The difference is that he's got those Broodlords out. With those Broodlords, they're going to be extremely efficient, but they don't have a whole lot to support them at this point. A lot of units were lost in that last engagement, and the Infestors are very weak. They don't have a lot of energy left up, and they took a couple of losses. And these Corruptors are definitely going to be the bane of IMakeVikings' life right now. He could definitely use some Vikings in his composition right now, if only he were Terran.
Yes, but it does look like the Queens are going to be pulled in here for IMakeVikings, and he's going to transfuse these Broodlords to try and keep them alive, and this make a huge difference in this engagement, as Fitzy is going in for it, and he's able to pull back these Broodlords and only lose a few of them. I think he only lost 2 there, actually.
Well, he's actually still losing some right now. He did lose about 5 of them right there. But in the bottom right-hand corner, like I said, the Roach hit squads that do need to be moving around the map are going to be able to equalize the base situation. Once again, both of these players back down to 4 bases at this point. The economy very much so the same. So now it's going to be about the compositions. Now it's going to be about the effectiveness of these trades, and being down 70 supply right now, being down 55 army supply is not where you want to be as the Yellow Zerg.
Yes, and Fitzy is going for Broodlords of his own, so we can't even say that IMakeViking has that advantage, as now Fitzy is getting it of his own.
In the bottom right-hand corner, Fitzy looking to reestablish that fifth, while IMakeVikings is going to go ahead and choose to take a different location for his new expansion, but with Fitzy's huge infestor count, 13 infestors right now, plenty of corruptors out on the map, and even a couple of broodlords being added into this composition, he's definitely looking to strike before the economy has anything else to say about this game. Right now, just a few roaches. We have 18 roaches, 11 infestors, and 5 broodlords. The only remnants of IMakeVikings army right now. Infested Terrans coming down to try to deter these broodlords from making any further advances, but with some nice splits right here from Fitzy here, he looks to make the final march in this game.
And Infested Terrans are going down to fight Infested Terrans, which is not a bad way to go at all. You could just wait for them to die off, but trading energy for energy is never bad, as it looks like more Infested Terrans going down for both sides. And this is Fitzy making a push on the natural.
Yeah, Fitzy saying he wants to end it right here, right now. He has the superior broodlord numbers, he has the superior infestor numbers, and of the infestors that are remaining, they've been relegated back here to the main. They are very low on energy. The broodlords doing what they can to try to deter all the broodlings coming in right now. Corruptors making their way on the field to try to fight the air forces of the IM player, but right now we do have another roach bun by coming over here, but the roaches and the hydros already there to deter that and save this natural. One queen going to be sniped. The broodlord's still over here trying to push into the static defenses of the VD player.
Yes, this roach run by is actually exactly what IMakeVikings needed to do to stall for more time here at his natural, trying to keep Fitzy from moving in by drawing his army further and further back. But it looks like there's just too much going here for Fitzy, as he only has an infested. He only has his infested terran. He only has an infestors, and he has broodlords and corruptors sitting here at the natural of IMakeVikings, and he's doing a lot of damage to these spine crawlers up here.
Yeah, right now we do actually have Fitzy splitting up his army right now a little bit. Broodlords, corruptors, and infestors trying to assault the natural, while the ground army looked to try to make a push there on the third. Not going to happen, as he saw that that was too heavily entrenched in static defenses. But this really comes back to how difficult it is to attack in any matchup here on Cloud Kingdom. With this small choke, your units become so vulnerable to fungals. You don't want to be pushing up into that, and this push is so slow as we have broodlords shooting broodlings, and it's just going to be such a difficult engagement. But RootFitzy playing it out perfectly, knowing that this is what he has to do. He's got the economic advantage, he's got the composition and supply advantage, and he's able to just bank up money, bank up supply right now, and say that as long as I'm keeping you on these bases, I've got this game won.
Oh, and it looks like in the bottom right corner there were some infested Terran dropped here on Fitzy's base from some hidden infestors that were burrowed and moved down there. They're not quite going to destroy the base, but a lot of damage was done. A lot of damage was done here economically, while more lings are being ran into the fourth of RootFitzy, so a lot of pressure here going down, as looks like Fitzy's going to go for the fourth of IMakeVikings.
Yeah, the counterattack, the option here is saying, you know what, you can harass me all day, you're never going to be able to deal with my full army here. So that is exactly what Fitzy here is going to be doing right now. He says, here I am, I'm Fitzy. Here's my corruptors. The corruptors flying in and are absolutely annihilated by infested Terrans. They are annihilated by Hydros. The rest of the infestor energy being spent on infested Terrans. And this is IMakeVikings' last push right here. All of the infested Terrans are out, but they are being massacred as GG comes out from the VD player. Game 1 going to RootFitzy here in this best of 7 show match.
All right, that was absolutely exciting. Both players very close throughout the entire game, but Fitzy gaining that lead after some really efficient engagements.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the game, IMakeVikings definitely had a little bit of an advantage, but there in the late game, when the infestor control, when the positioning, when the decision making really started to shine, that's when Fitzy took the edge. Player with definitely a bit more experience, and he was able to just show how effective those infestors can be at defending with such small numbers. So a great game here by the viewer discretion player. Fitzy showing us, though, why he is the professional, why he is the name that we all know. And so we're going to be going into game 2, where Fitzy's going to be taking on the second viewer discretion player and see if he can show us once again just how good he is. I've been your casting host, Beef. Joining me, IvD Yogi times HK Rob. We're going to be going on to Ohana versus Paint Sniffer. Another Zerg. This is the 2 Zergs in a row right here. The only 2 Zergs for viewer discretion. So Paint Sniffer saying, hey, I might be able to take this one. We're going to go to a very quick break. Please check us out over at IvDYogiTime.com, where we have 3 tournaments every week. Every game casted, every game with a prize pool. Check us out over there. We'll be back in just a moment.